So hello everyone and welcome back to Hemel-Down Model Railway. In today's video I'm going to show you a little project that I've been working on. Then I'm going to show you some of the projects that I need to finish off on the countryside section. So then I'll be able to crack on with the rest of the town scene. Plus at the end of the video I'll give you a little bit of a running session just with some of the new scenic work that I've done and some of the shots of the locos passing through that part. So I didn't film the making of the new section. What I've done is just to put a couple of pictures together. So I'm going to show you those now and then I'll take you over to where I've put it back in place. So this is what I've been working on, and what I've done is just to put my first base layer of acrylic paints down. As you can see, it's still a bit wet and that's why it's quite shiny. But this is going to be where a castle will be up on the edge here, sort of like a disused castle, and then there'll be a road bridge that can go off down through on that section there, and then where the tracks have been cut through the rock faces on this side, and then there'll be quite a lot of overgrowth on here, so you're not going to see too much of the rock face, but there'll be kind of plenty of vegetation and static grasses and muds added all in on this section here. So from, if you was to come down to this angle here, it's quite nice that the trains come sort of round the back of the bridge there and then cut through this section, and then equally in the distance kind of from there you'll see like a kind of ruined castle up on the top there, and I think that'll look good with a nice little back scene on there with some sky. It's still got quite a few layers to go with paint and stuff to kind of replicate some rock facing, but as you can see up at the back there, what I've done is to add in some cat litter and some plaster and make kind of like a little stone wall. So if I bring you over to a little bit of a closer look, so sorry the lighting's not very good at this end, but I'm hoping you can kind of start to see the effects that I'm going for. I've put in some like yellows and some greys and some black in there at the moment. Still got to like highlight it. There'll be a little bit more that I'm going to do with some plaster, because some of it you can still see the plaster bandage through, and then there'll be a load of like sort of ivy all up it and weeds and stuff like that as well, so I'm thinking that'll look quite good. And then looking at this section here, So what I'll do is have a little bit of plywood across the back where the bricks are, so there'll be sort of like a little bit of a sky scene on there to kind of hide off the wall. And then, as you can see, it's quite a large piece. If I pan you out, it's quite a large piece that sort of sits on the top there of that board, and then has the road bridge go over, and then there'll be the twin tracks that will then lead round up onto the top section. And then this section here is where it will have 3 lines, because one line will then go off straight off up down in that section there. And then what I'll be doing with this part here is then I'll be making some bridges and then matching in some stonework that will kind of bring a little bit of a lip up on this section here. So that's the only real main sort of section of what I've been doing in terms of any work on the layout. I did detach the board and then take it downstairs to kind of work on it. And then I added in, excuse me, I added in some supports on the bottom there as well. So I'm going to head over to the other side of the layout and I'll just show you a couple of the bits that I'm going to work on, because whilst I'm doing some of the vegetation for this section here, I'll also be then finishing off some of the bits on the other side. So let's take a quick look at some of those. So this is one section that I started and I just need to finish off now. So I'm going to give a little bit of a layer of plaster over the top just to create some rock facing, similar to kind of the rock facings that I've done on that one, so it all matches up. And then whilst I've got the plaster out, I'm also going to finish off this section here and get all of the rest of that static grass in all along the top there, and that will tie off this section quite nicely. And then what I'm going to do then is to remove the whole of the viaduct, and then I'm going to start doing some of the weathering up on that section there. So to cap off or make a scenic break in each end of the layout, I'm going to be making a further 18 of these. And what I've done is just to mock up with a bit of ply some tunnel portals, and then I'm going to plaster all of those and then carve in all of the rocks and everything all on those sections there. It won't stay the same height, it'll be a little bit smaller than that and look kind of about the same sort of height as what that bridge is on there. And then what I can do with this section here is just have it like either another footbridge or something over on that side. So the shapes of those have not been done correctly. I've still got to sort of fettle them down a little bit. So I'm just checking all the clearances and stuff on those. As you can see, there's sort of a black mark on the one on the right hand side, so I still have to sort of straighten that off a little bit and just make sure that that all lines up. And then I'll have another one on the side there, but because they're all different shapes, I have to hand make each one individually. So that's a nice little project to crack on with. And then what I can then do is I'll be having the little hill that will join up on that section there. So I'll be cutting off a little bit of the wall up on the top there and then building a slope embankment that goes down there. Then I can get that kind of plastered up, a road made in that will probably lead a little pathway down in here, so just a little walkway basically that will go down there, and then there'll be some fencing that will go along this section. And then what I can do is to finish all the little ballasting up on this section here. So this is kind of capping off the Scenic section. So if I do everything from there, and then that will lead on to doing these two little bits here with a bit of static grass and stuff, and then back into the section that I explained before. So what I've done is to buy a little switchboard so that I can rewire my lighting. So that's another thing that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days, is to have different boards for different sections of the layout. So I'll be able to turn sort of like the platform lighting on separately to the lighting that's currently by the coal merchants, because what I did do was to wire it all into the bus wire, and then it just means that it's, when I'm kind of doing daylight running, you still got the lights on in the background. So I wanted to have those so that I could do some nighttime running shots, because with some of my locos having lighting and stuff, and I hope to upgrade some of the carriages to have carriage lighting, it'll make some good videos to be able to have some night running sessions with some lighting in the background. So just heading over to the town scene. So there's not too much progress, but what I have been doing is making a Metcalf low relief set of shops. So there's two there, and there's another two that are currently unbuilt, and that will add on to the side of that section. So I'm just starting to mark out now where some of the buildings will go. So I'll have a little row of shops that will go down on this section here, and then I'll have another set of buildings that will come along the back there. So it will just look like a little bit of a sort of a housing estate, then with some fencing around the back of the line, possibly some sort of like warehouses and stuff that will be all in down along this back sort of section there. So that'll kind of tie off a nice small town scene. And then when I go under the layout, so where all the lighting will be up in that section and along there, there'll be a load of like industrial stuff as well on the bottom of that section there. So that pretty much ties up some of the progress that I've done. It's not been as much as what I'd hoped, but I'm hoping over the next couple of days I'll be able to actually video some of the bits that I'm doing. It's getting to that point now where it's all the little touches that will kind of make the difference and kind of finish off little scenes that I've started. So I've got to make sure before I move on to too many things or too many other things that I get some of these bits done. So now all of the top sections in, I can now focus on getting the back end of this layout done over the summer. So that's my big project, is to get kind of all of this done and complete for the end of the summer. Right, so I'm going to leave the video here, and I'm going to have a little bit of a running session just on the top line, so it'll only be sort of a couple of minutes long, just showing you some of the shots with the loco coming through the new cutting that I've made. So thank you very much for joining, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little update, and hopefully it won't be so long before I release another video. So take care, everyone. Thank you very much for your support, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.